Good afternoon. How are you today? We're so glad that you're here. Got a wonderful guest, a wonderful topic to discuss with you today. The word home conjures up deep, deep feelings, doesn't it? Whether your feelings are positive or negative, my guest today is going to help you catch a fresh vision of the unexpected power of home. Hi, I'm Patricia A Durgin, and this is Marketers on a Mission. We present marketing tutorials and interviews by and for Christian writers, speakers, and artists. This is episode number 200. What a blessing. 4 areas to double check in your future publishing contracts with author Nancie Carmichael. Hello, Miss Nancie. How are you?
Oh, hi, Patricia. I'm great. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Almost.
Yes, it's close enough. It's close enough.
It's close.
What I'd like to do is just highlight, just for a moment, your history, you and your husband's history in the publishing industry. Then we'll go right to the unexpected power of home.
Oh, my goodness.
Workbook.
Yes.
I like showing books, Nancie. So
Thank you. I love that cover.
Yes, it's very, well, it's indicative of the contents, isn't it?
I hope so. I think it is. But my husband, Bill, and I was just thinking, my goodness, we have been in the publishing world for quite a while. My husband started out working for Logos Journal, which eventually rolled into Charisma. So he commuted from Oregon to New Jersey for 1 week out of the month. That finally didn't work, and we were in pastoral ministry, and he started magazines for pastors and missionaries, and we loved it so much. We started doing consulting with magazines, and we bought a magazine that had just gotten started. It was called Virtue Magazine, and moved it to our home in Sisters, Oregon. And we kind of mom and popped it. We learned a lot along the way about publishing magazines, and then we did Christian Parenting Today and Parents of Teenagers. And those were sold to David C. Cook Publishing eventually. And then Bill and I just continued publishing our own books and speaking about family matters. And Bill saw a niche for helping people get into publishing. He actually started out just trying to be their agent, and he learned how he could help them start, get out in the publishing world and publish their books. So we learned a lot, just mom and pop, just our own business. So that's been a lot of years. It's been about 38 years we've been doing this. So
it sneaks up on you, doesn't it?
It does. So, but the publishing world's changing so fast, but the message doesn't change.
Yes.
It's the delivery systems and all of that surrounds it.
Well, let's talk about Deep River Books in just a moment, a little bit more. But I want to ask you, the word river pops up in your life consistently. Why is that? What is that?
Well, we live close to a river. We just, for many, many years, the Metolius River, it just springs up out of the ground. And when we were starting our publishing company, we love that verse, from out of the innermost beings will flow rivers of living water. And I probably walk along the Metolius River, even though we've moved into town and I'm away from it now, I still get out there. It's my prayer place. It's my inspiration place. It's about 13 miles from us now, but we used to live really close to it. But there's something about that, something spiritual about the rivers of living water. So the Metolius River, if you ever come to Oregon, is a fabulous place to visit and be.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. Oregon is a beautiful place, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. There are just a lot of mountains. We live close to mountains and trees and all kinds of things like that.
We used to live in a hamlet that was on the river, and it was on a mountain. So we got the trees and the mountain and the river. Boom.
It's wonderful.
It was a trifecta.
But the desert has a beauty all its own too.
Yes. I'll have to go there someday.
Yes.
I want to ask tell us a little bit more about Deep River Books. Now you've had it since 2001. You started it yourself, as you mentioned.
Right.
2001. And the purpose was to mentor authors.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that. Partnering.
And it still is. It's a different type of publishing, but we discovered there are authors who can get a contract because they have a good following or a platform, as we say. And then there are people who have something to say, but they're trying to break in. They're trying to get a book, and they need help. And as you know well, it takes some education, it takes some understanding of your message. We don't publish everything, but it fits for some people. It depends on what your book is and if you have a way to sell your books. So that's how we actually started the company. Is my husband had some friends that wanted to publish a book, so he tried to help them put it together with the content and then find a publisher, and that was becoming very hard. Mm-hmm. So we just said, well, I think we can help you get this book published. And that's how we started doing it. We didn't intend to start a company. Mm-hmm. It just started that way. So we have grown with it and learned a lot along the way. So
one of the fallacies that people who are just coming into the writing or the speaking world,
mm-hmm.
they tend to feel that they have to know everything right off the bat, that they have to be 100% accurate, and they're reaching for perfection, and they don't yet even know how to format a file.
Exactly right.
They're setting themselves up for frustration when God gives us time to learn what He calls us to do, doesn't He?
Right, He does, and you do have to learn. The main thing you have to know is, do I have a message? And who is my audience? And how do I find that audience? Those three things. If you think, well, I have this book, but it's just shotgun idea, that's not good enough. You have to know what your message is and what is unique about it and who is your audience? Who are you speaking it to? This is really important. So, and then finding them. And that's where we rely on people like you and the younger members of our team who understand the delivery systems have all changed. So, some things haven't changed, but a lot of things have.
The concepts are still in place, but the application is wildly different.
It really is. And you're fighting for competition for the eye and for the attention. And you really need to know your audience and your content and what makes it unique.
Yes.
Everybody, it's like, well, I just want people to be happy. Well, what is unique about your message? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're looking for specificity, readers, and buyers.
Absolutely. The more targeted you are, and then your cover is so important. You have to rely on people that can help you with that. I mean, there are so many ways you can get published these days. I mean, you can go to Create Space and Amazon. You can get a book on Amazon, and that's fine too. But if you really want it to go somewhere with marketing and distribution, because bookstores won't distribute anything that Amazon's going to do. That's their big, competition. Mm-hmm. So you have to bear that in mind. You have to know, what you're going to use to promote your message and what you want out of it. So how it will serve you.
Yes, and help you connect and have the opportunity to serve your audience, your target.
Right. And, look at that. Look at us talking on Facebook. I mean, 10 years ago, I would never think we could do that. Mm-hmm. It's just quite amazing. So the thing that hasn't changed, though, is the message, but it's the delivery system. There are people doing Twitter. They're doing, podcasts and all that. Audiobooks are growing rapidly. So people still want books, but we might have to back up and think, what form are we going to use for my message? Never forgetting the heart of the message. Patricia, we can get so caught up in all the side accoutrements and the things that we want to use to make the message and not work on the message. A message comes out of the life. That has to be number one. That's not a shortcut. You just can't drum that up. That's the hard stuff, okay? That's what makes it real, and that's what makes other people want it.
Yes.
Because what feeds you then will feed others.
Yes, absolutely. And You've done that so well, illustrated that perfectly in the unexpected power of home. Yes, we have two viewers, and I'm going to get to you and acknowledge you and thank you in just a moment. When I read this, of course, I read the coordinating workbook for the small groups.
Right.
But as I would read more and more and more of your words, I felt the way that you write and present your message, it's truthful, it's biblical, scriptural, and so forth, factual with good both Bible stories and personal stories. But when you combine that whole package, I feel like I was reading, really hearing, listening, sitting in a room, listening to someone who was just a few years older, a few years wiser, and was giving me the deep, dark secrets of how to have a wonderful life based upon my home life.
Yes.
Yes. That's a rare quality, and I appreciate it.
That's my heart. I've written a lot of books, but this is my heart and soul book. This is what I feel is important. This is what I want to leave my kids, my daughters-in-law, my nieces, my daughter. And it's not just this home that we decorate, that we spend so much time on. It's a reflection of who we are. It's us. And I see home as a metaphor for us. And how is that possible? Well, Jesus talk that way all the time. He used common things. He used the birds of the air, noticing the birds of the air, noticing the flowers of the field, giving a cup of cold water in his name, washing the feet of his friends. In common, ordinary things, he made the most powerful points ever. So why is home not a powerful metaphor? It is where we are most real. It is where we raise people who grow up to be presidents and pastors and teachers and government rulers, or you name it. Is home not powerful? And it begins with us.
And you bring it together so well, and you bring these important points up so consistently without badgering anybody. You just gently bring it up. You talk about it, and we go to the next point. One of the things that my family moved a lot. My birth family moved a lot. And then my husband and I, that Christ has moved us a lot. So I've been in lots of new spaces, new environments. And I've seen it in real life, but I had not ever heard it encapsulated in your statement that home is a metaphor representing our inner selves. And I don't think I quoted that exactly right. But it's so representative of who we are, isn't it?
It is. It is, and we don't even think of it that way. I mean, sometimes we'll look and I have to deal with clutter. Mm-hmm. Why do I have so much clutter? Is this just a style of housekeeping? No. It's because I tend to hold on to things. It is a metaphor of myself. Why am I holding on to this much and this much and this much? Because I want to hold on to my babies, So stop and see why your home is the way it is. It's a reflection of who we are. Yeah. Why do I feel so scattered? Why can I not just come home and relax? Let's stop and think about that. And where's my sacred space? Do I have one? And how do I make one? Mm-hmm. But that comes out of us. There's the actual physical thing, but it's reflective of who we are.
Yes. I've been in so many different environments where I knew so much about the person. Mm-hmm. in 30 seconds of standing in their home.
Yes.
No matter how they presented themselves to the world, step into their home, and even if you can't articulate that, your spirit knows it, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It's weird.
It's wonderful.
And wonderful, but so instructive.
Yes, very telling. Yeah. Let's see what's going on over here, Janelle. Wood is here. Sounds like an amazing book. It is, Janelle. It is an amazing book for someone at any age, Janelle. So I know you're younger than we are. You will love it. You will learn. Even if you have a wonderful home life right now, it can be improved and be a memory that will warm the hearts of your children till they die.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Take another hard look at your home. Just kind of step back and take an observation. What's going on here? What needs to happen? Mm-hmm. Does it really feel like a safe place? Do people have to walk on eggshells in here, or can they just really take their shoes off and sit down? And, you know, there are a lot of things if we just have the courage to stop and look at home.
I mentioned to you, and Raven, we've got 2 more comments that I want to get back to, but I mentioned to you in a phone call earlier this week that I grew up in an unhealthy home. So when my husband and I we got married, he came from a healthy Christian home. So I had to unlearn and all the bad stuff, then learn the good stuff. I had to work up to 0, and then started building good habits.
Yes.
But I appreciate, one of the things I mentioned to you in that conversation was that I appreciate that you don't dwell on the fact, but you mentioned several times, not everyone came from the kind of home that you came from, that you don't say it in those words, but your message is, even if your past home, whether that was with your parents or a former spouse, whatever it may be, today can be the turning point, and you can have the home that you wanted to have.
Yes. In fact, maybe even better, because you really appreciate it.
True.
You know, we all have, sometimes maybe we have to get over a happy childhood because this was so perfect, and where I live now is not so perfect. So we have to take what we've been given. I think of it as heartwood in a tree. If you look at a tree that's been cut down, the rings closest to the center are the densest and most resistant to insects and decay. It's hard stuff. Well, our childhood is heartwood. So we tend to keep reliving, you know, the heartwood. But even though it's powerful stuff, what's more powerful is that we can choose how we respond to it.
Yes.
We can choose to understand it, and we can choose to respond to it with God's grace that is never ending. God's grace is amazing.
Yes.
It can make your home into something you never could even dream.
Yes. I'm living proof of it.
Yes.
Some viewers, if you come from a less than ideal situation, doesn't matter.
No.
He makes all things new.
He does.
And he will help you make your home new as well.
He will.
We've got 2 or 3 comments. Let me run through them with us. Kate says, but Bill, you perhaps? That is the cutest Christmas sweater I have ever seen, Annie.
Thank you. I wore it just for you. And I'm going to go make a pie when I'm through.
Raven and Hollister says, she's at work and enjoying the message. Thank you, Nancie Carmichael and Patricia. I agree. Love that sweater.
Who needs to write a book? I'll just wear a sweater.
That's what I'm thinking. Gina McHenry, who is such a wonderful supporter of this program, says The Power of Home is an amazing book. Absolutely.
Oh.
She says that she had great insights from it about the impact of my childhood homes on how I feel about home and family, as well as my husband's not so perfect experience. Exactly. It truly helped my marriage. Buy it, people.
Woo woo. Well, it's so true though that our past home affects how we do home. It does. But we choose how we respond to it. And I have literally seen it, Patricia. Well, you know it more than anyone, that God's grace is so powerful and renews us and gives us second and third and fourth chances. But what I want to leave with any viewers today who are struggling with home and looking around thinking, this is not the home of my dreams, and I'll be home for Christmas. Well, maybe not so much. Be patient with God's work in you. Be patient with God's work in you. It doesn't happen overnight. Step by step, do what is right, and God will bless you.
Yes. Which may be the same home till you pass. It may be a new home right around the corner. You have no idea that's on the horizon. But
absolutely,
you'll be okay whichever way it goes.
Absolutely. And God always starts with where we are. Yes. And with what we have. I will never forget moving to Oregon, and my husband and I had built a beautiful home. We did it ourselves. It was just a home of our dreams, real tiny, but I loved it. we moved into this area where we were doing ministry and youth pastoring, and in a little tiny duplex. And I could see who was next door to me, what they were having for breakfast, quite literally. It had yellow orange shag carpet. I hated that. I did not like it. And we were doing ministry, but I was not a happy camper. And I had 2 babies. And I remember one night being at church in the back row with the kids, trying to keep them quiet. And my husband's up front, you know, the drill. And it's like, what was I going to do? And I shot up a 1-word prayer to God, and it was this: yes. And God began to take me from that point.
Yes.
He starts where we are, and we say yes, or we keep resisting, wanting something better, something bigger, something shinier, something more comfortable.
Yes.
But the beauty of yes is its obedience. And he takes that. And until we do that, I think we're stuck. We're stuck in longing. We're stuck in comparing. And that's where God started. And he did a work in me that was beautiful. And I grew to love that place.
Yeah.
And then I got another beautiful home. But he starts where we are.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm so glad that you mentioned this in the book. The way that you put it was so, so beautiful. Christ gave my husband and me our dream home in the city we used to live in.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us 10 years there.
Mm.
And he moved us to this home. And it's an adequate home. There's nothing wrong with it. But it wasn't our dream home. And it took me quite a while to get my little self adjusted.
Yes.
Then our children needed a home. And if we had not lived here, this was his master plan, was for us to come and live here for 1.5 years. Then our grown children and their family needed a home. We have a whole entire downstairs that's a whole like a mother-in-law suite that we were never using, but it was exactly the space they needed. The price was right because it was a mom's and dad's.
Yes, it sure was.
So it worked out. I grew to appreciate the home.
That's right. That's right.
But as you said, I had to adjust my attitude, and that was to surrender and say, all right, I'm going to stop living in the past, and I'm going to see what I have right now because of you. Somewhere, this is the master plan, and I'm going to learn to be content with it.
And the thing is, that never stops.
Yes, I don't always kick at the goat.
Never stops. Sorry.
Sometimes I take longer than other times.
Then we've moved from being near our beautiful river into a little town, little village. It's darling and it's wonderful. It's God's provision. But I had to say my yes again here. I've got very close neighbors. That's okay. I mean, it's, you never stop saying yes where you are. And I think when we do stop it, we stop growing.
Yes.
We stop becoming vital. We stop ministering because we're stuck. So that yes should never stop, no matter where we are.
Absolutely. Or yes. You say in your book, I've pulled several little snippets for us to talk about today, that you had Jesus for breakfast every day when you were growing up. What does that mean to you?
Quite literally. Well, my father reading King James Version to us before we went out the door, a psalm in the morning, and while we were eating our cereal before we went to school, the little country school where I grew up. But yeah, that was it. And, you know, to church every time the doors are open and being involved in the community. And it was a very hands-on walk of our faith that my parents led us in. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
You had a wonderful space. You had wonderful friends. The big sky right outside. A whole house chock full of people.
Montana, wonderful. My brother lives there. He has taken over the farm and his family. He has amazing family and wife. And so it's still going. It's really exciting. Yeah.
It's good to visit the old homestead every once in a while, isn't it?
Oh, it is so good. Yes. All the memory.
And there's that memory.
Yeah. The barn is still there. I can climb up in the barn where Phil Jackson used to play basketball with my brothers. He's became the coach of the Chicago Bulls. Phil Jackson, his mother and father were pastors not far from where we lived and good friends of my parents. So this is what I grew up with. Who knew? He was just this tall, gangly kid that played basketball in the barn, which is still there.
You would say, and this is another thing about moving, downsizing, that when we go in that direction, when the time comes that we downsize for whatever reason, sometimes it's age typically, but it can be circumstances of life or any other number of reasons. But to keep those pieces of furniture and those memory makers close, don't give them up.
Yes, we sold our house furnished when we moved 2 years ago, and I kind of wish I'd held on to my dining room table because it really supported our family, and it was great. But anyway, that was then and this is now. The important thing is that your house and your home support your life. We don't support the house. That's where we get turned around. We're trying to maintain a house that we really don't need, or all these possessions we aren't using or saving for when the kids come home once a year or something like that. So we kind of have to get a hard-eyed look at what really we need our house to support for us and move with it, because we are in a different place that we were maybe 10 years ago. Honestly, downsizing, when you have a large family like ours, you don't want to downsize too much. I mean, I want them to come home.
Yeah.
So we do have some room for them, but it's not like when we were raising them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And this is another season of life, and you talk about the seasons of life in your book.
Absolutely. Seasons are, it's just the way it is. And each season is a precursor of the next. Yes. And you want to be in the season that you are. So you want things appropriate to your season.
Okay, I got to write this down. You want to be in the season that you are.
Exactly. Not looking back and hanging on and trying to drum up something that was. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Be where we are.
And this is particularly true and hits home when we've suffered a loss that we didn't, we weren't prepared for, we didn't want to happen, fill in the blank with, and that person is gone.
Right. Especially this time of year.
It's hard.
It's hard. And the absence is palpable. And the memories come. We can't help it. And they're bittersweet, but they're still painful because they remind us of someone who's no longer there. Yes. So take a moment just to thank God for them and savor them and move on. And I think that's true with our homes too, Patricia. Honestly, maybe you have to grieve a home that you once had. It can be like a living thing to you that you have to let go in order to move on.
Yes, yes.
And that was my life, and let that go in order to be where I am now.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, what the present holds will never measure up.
Never. And you're going to be unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And why am I unhappy? Well, it's just a house. But no, there's something deeper. That's why I'm saying home is such a strong metaphor of who we are, and such a strong teacher to us if we'll just open our eyes to it.
And you said in your book that your father, you had lots of stories where you mentioned him, and he spoke and taught you volumes. He taught you volumes, even when he needed to. I'm not getting this right. He taught you a lot, and sometimes he used words.
That is true. He was a man of very few words, and he had many great losses in his life that he did not articulate, and we had to really dig to find it out. But he loved God deeply, and there consequently loved people, and walked that out in front of us. In fact, took us with him into those He'd drag us around the country to sing to shut-ins, and we go, please, do I have to go? He'd say, well, I'll buy you ice cream. So we would, okay, we'd go. And then we'd see how happy people were, because my sisters and I, we'd sing, and I played the accordion. I don't know if it helped their suffering at all. It probably put them over the edge, or they were very happy when we left. I never get invited to play my accordion, but it's ready if anybody needs me to come.
Duly noted.
You never know.
Oh, that's priceless. Oh my gosh.
Oh goodness.
When we go out and we serve people,
Yeah.
if our home is all it can be for us,
yes,
is the haven for us, and is the
Yeah.
safe place for us, we can take that with it. We do take that with us when we go out.
We
and
do.
serve other people, don't we?
We do. It's our base of operations for life. It is. And even if you're living alone, you in a small apartment or wherever you are, you can make that place a place that serves you so that you serve others.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place to come back and be replenished and reminded of good things, with good memories, pictures on the wall, with mementos, with a clean, nice place where you can have a meal or share with loved ones, and intimacy and listening. And there is so much power that is in a home that
Tell
we
us
can
about,
do.
I'm sorry.
No,
Tell us about your sister Judy's Montana wall. That's a great illustration of the point.
isn't that great? Well, we'll always be Montana kids no matter where we are. But I walked in she has a little condo up in Washington State, and she has a wall that she calls her Montana wall. It's pictures of our family, of our parents and grandparents, and of the home and the barn and all of these places, very special places. And so we could all do that. I mean, find something that just builds you up and gives you good memories.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Another way to do it, I'm not crafty, but our daughters are, both of our daughters are, and they save tickets to special events.
Yeah.
A worn out balloon that has no significance today, but it took them to a memory where their family went and had this fabulous family time. And they make a picture. I don't know what you call it because I'm not crafty, but they create a picture out of that, put it in a picture frame.
Isn't that's amazing.
And it's the whole event, all the memories that they have from the whole event.
Right. And now with Christmas coming, the holidays, traditions are those things too. They help us identify who we are as a people, identify us as a family. Well, we're going to have, we have to have clam chowder, or for Christmas Eve. It's just what we do. And the guys just have to sing "God Rest You Merry Gentlemen," or we do a white elephant gift exchange. That's a lot of fun. Or just little traditions, little things that say you take the extra time to do it. And we like to sing, and we sing the doxology, and now the littles are learning it too. It's just a good thing to do.
Yes. And even though we want to be hospitable in our home and represent our home well when we go out of it, there's also times where we just need to let our hair down and everybody sit around and just scratch and burp and watching old television.
It's true. And just be comfortable and relax and not have a list, not have an agenda. And it's getting harder to do that, I think, because of our ever-present 24/7 news cycle and social media. And here we are talking about it. But there are times we turn it all off and close the door and just relax. We need that.
When your children were younger, you had a different version of that because we didn't have the technology today, and that was a family day. Tell us about that.
So true. Yeah. We always had you have kids, it's like the magnet on the street, and they will just be ever present. You want to be hospitable, but there are times, We would say, this is a family day, and there are no kids here other than you today. And we do that about once a week, which isn't that much really, but you need that. You need to put up the walls. Yes. No, we're not going to go do another activity tonight. We're just going to be home. Mm-hmm. Which is why family dinners, let me just tell you, can be the most radical thing you can do for your family and for yourself, is to just have dinner at a specific time with no social media, a time to just sit down. In fact, statistics really prove how dramatically this improves kids' lives at school and all of our lives. I think it's good for us just to have a conversation and just dinner. Mm-hmm. Dinner will do it.
You mentioned in your book that research shows that younger children have, when we have dinner together as a family, that our younger ones learn more vocabulary there than even when we're reading to them. And that's pretty startling.
That is amazing. That's amazing. But it's true. And plus, nutritionally, it's much better for them too. Mm-hmm. So, and for teenagers, when they get into those years and their world is coming at them with so many pressures, the statistics show people who have family dinners at home with kids that age dramatically do better in school and resist peer pressure. So it's simple. I mean, we can do simple things in the home that are powerful, that will shape our culture. This is why I'm so passionate about this book, because if we can just catch a glimpse of what the home can do, we can change the world.
That's just blows your mind, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
And it's almost always the simple things, because they're one after the other. We're building foundation. Well,
and it's not dramatic. Nobody's going to give us a parade or clap for us. It's the step-by-step, radical steps of being faithful, doing what's good and what's helpful to the family, for ourselves, that make an impact. Yeah. And I just want to encourage young moms, and dads, all of us, or people, no matter who we are. Mm-hmm. What you can do through your own home is amazing. So.
And don't expect, if you're in your 30s or 40s raising children, don't expect your house, and this is a ploy from the enemy, to be pristine and clean like someone who has an empty nest.
Right.
That's not even possible.
So true. I was just with my Arizona kids, and I was folding clothes, and it was a quiet moment, and I got up, and the 2-year-old had gotten into a box of paints and on their white tile floor. I screamed so loud. But, we cleaned it up. It's just life. Life happens. And it's funny. And the house is for us. We have to remember that. We're not for the house. The house is for us. So that's the point.
I learned so much about you when you told me that very short story. I've seen lots of different versions of reactions when the children did something that was radically damaging. And we all hope to have the response, it's going to be okay. We're just going to clean this mess up.
Well, we did. And, I guess they were water soluble. Some of the grout's a little blue, but it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Janelle's here. Let's see. Jasmine Schmidt says, family dinners are my favorite.
Yay!
We homeschooled our girls, and we were really, really close to our in-laws. Like, we could walk to their house.
Oh, nice.
So every Sunday, the family got together, the greater family got together, and we had dinner at Grandma's. And they were bored about that. As they got older, that was boring. Or they wanted to go do something else.
Right.
Any number of different distractions were more welcoming and interesting than having dinner at Grandma's house.
Of course.
Then they went to college. And they would call us. But they wouldn't call us being upset. But as the years went by, they would say, share a memory of being in college and knowing that what was supposed to be happening. It's 12 o'clock. We're supposed to be sitting down at dinner right now.
That's so great.
These are the people who are going to be around the table. This is what they're going to eat. This is what they're going to talk about.
That's what we call roots and wings. This is the stability. This is how we can go out in the world and do things.
Yes.
Because we have that base. There are people that care about us. They pray for us. They're going to be there. And even when they're not there, their prayers are going to hold us. Their example will hold us. So this is powerful.
And speaking of that, near the end of the book, you say let me move my notes. You're talking about the mother, the loss of the mother. Something big happens to a family when the mother dies.
Yes.
So remark on that for us, and also share what your son Eric did when your mother-in-law passed.
It was so sweet. Well, she'd been ill. She had lost her memory. She had dementia, and yet she was still grandma. She was that last, vestige of that generation. And then we lost her, and not too many years ago. It's been 4 years ago. But something big happens to a family because the mother, I guess, is the heart of the home. And I thought it was so sweet. My son Eric called, and we were just making arrangements, trying to think, well, what should we do? What are we going to do now? And he just called and said, what was Grandma's favorite meal? Wasn't it pot roast? And he said, come over. And he had pot roast, mashed potatoes, carrots, everything Grandma made that we would come home Sunday after church that would be ready. Yes. With, of course, pie and ice cream, rhubarb pie. But we sat around the table with our family and cousins and laughed and cried and remembered. Yes. She was part of our roots.
And that memory will be cherished in times to come, won't it?
Yes. And I guess I want to do that too. I wonder what meal they'll fix. Oh, goodness, who knows? They'll call for takeout.
I do remember you saying that after all those meals that you've cooked, that your very favorite thing to make is reservations.
Yeah, it still is.
A lot of women are going to agree with that.
Oh, we do what we have to do, and it's fine.
At the end of each of your chapters, you walk us through ideas and questions for us to ponder and to help us spur ideas that will get us where we want to go.
Exactly. Well, I think people have a lot of wisdom. They know what they want. Mm-hmm. They know what to do, actually, too. And that's why I love doing discussion questions. And then the study guide that I did, I just finished teaching this at our church. And it was so gratifying to me to visit the small groups. I visited various groups during the teaching times. We had 7-week sessions, and then I would give a lecture, and then they would go into small group. But then I would go visit some of the small groups. But I love listening because people come up with the greatest ideas, mm-hmm. and the things that they can learn and that they can share with other people. That's why I love it that people will take this book and do it as a conversation, because there's so much that we can learn from other people. Yes. How do you do this? Just practical things.
Yes.
How do you keep your family together? How do you do a family meal when everybody has sports and you're running all over? How in the world do we do this? So we can learn a lot from other people if we just will listen.
Absolutely. This is the book, and this is the small group, an 8-week study guide. And it looks to me like this could be as an individual or as a small group.
It could, yeah. And we have like people that are in 2 or 3 that are doing it too, or just yourself. But I think it's better to have a conversation with someone else to just talk about these things if you can.
Okay. And that's wise. But for the reason that you just mentioned, we play off of each other, and the Holy Spirit will give you an idea they won't give me.
Absolutely. And your story is unique. Mm-hmm. Yours. Mm-hmm. And mine and our friends. So we can learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Father. Let me see if we have any other comments or questions before we get to the publishing contracts. Let me refresh. Well, I think we're good. I think we're good. So glad to have everyone here. We so appreciate you taking the time, especially this time of year.
I know. I wonder what everyone is baking.
If you're here and you want to share, well, you may give us an idea for a new dish.
I would really like to hear what you're baking today.
So give us 4 areas that we can double check in our future publishing.
I have so much. I don't have time for all this, but well, number 1, read your contract, for goodness sakes. Don't be intimidated by it. A lot of times, we get these agreements, if you even get an app on your phone, it's this long list of things, and then at the bottom, do you agree? Well, who reads through all that? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Probably most people don't, and you just click agree. But in a contract, it isn't always that complicated, but as time has gone by, it is. And there are different kinds of contracts depending on the publishing company. So I would say, to start off with, just be aware that there are 3 different types of publishing contracts. Okay. So there's the traditional publishers, and those are royalty-based and full service, who will usually offer you a cash advance and pay all your expenses and make the decisions about your manuscript. That's a traditional publisher, and that's great to get if you can do that. There are partnership publishers, and that is what Deep River Books is. It's not royalty-based and full service, and we usually require the author to purchase a minimum number of books, but they get input into the process with the cover and the title and so on. Then there's self-publishers, and they ask for money up front, and usually some services like typesetting and print on demand, they'll give you an ISBN number and likely list the book at Amazon. So those are 3 different types of publishing contracts. And let me just give you a few things to watch for. So say the traditional publishing contract that you have. Read it. Ask questions. Lots of times we think, well, is this negotiable? Often it is. And if you're not sure, have an attorney read it over for you, or someone that's well-versed that you trust and that can give you some input. Okay. Here's 2 basic things to watch for in that contract. One is the cash advance you receive. And note that any cash advance will be deducted from the royalty promised in the contract as books are sold. I mean, there's so much to learn about this, and if you have an agent who goes over all these things with you, don't hesitate to ask questions about them. Often contracts are negotiable. Lots of times we don't realize that, but they are. They can make some changes, and if there's, it can't hurt to ask, right?
And don't assume. Can we just say, don't assume that you understand it.
No.
And don't take somebody's word for it. If it's not written down,
it
doesn't exist.
Right. Exactly. And with the world being so complicated, it's just a business arrangement that's necessary, and we need it, and it's good for everyone. And the second thing to watch for is your percentage of royalty. Standard contracts start at about 12%, and it can graduate up to 20%. Okay. So just ask about that and see what you think. If you've got a proven record and you're an established author, you could get usually a higher royalty than others. There's another thing you can watch in that contract, and that's your discount to purchase your own books. So lots of times you're offered 40% off the retail price for the books for your own use. And sometimes you can negotiate 50% off, which would be good. But like I say, lots of these things are negotiable. So when you read it through, just think, is this possible? And ask. You can always ask. And a lot of contracts, they all have the similar clauses that we know. They offer worldwide distribution in all languages, and sometimes they will sell the rights to overseas publishers, which is awesome. We love that. And of course, there's always a liability disclaimer to make sure you're, not plagiarizing anybody's words. So partnership publishers, let me give a few things to watch for in that. And that's what we do. Find out what your costs are going to be and what's provided in that cost. Some manuscripts need more work than others. You might need more editing. Some manuscripts are very clean, but some need more editing and some need more work. In our program, in our partnership publishing, we ask the author to purchase a minimum of 1,000 books at 30% off the retail price. And we don't ask for that up front. It's spread out over a year over fair for payments. And this covers the typesetting and the production and the marketing. So that's what we do. And we like to have active authors who are involved. It is true partnership publishing. So here are some things to ask. What are my costs? How do I pay those? When you're looking through the contract, ask what is my royalty percentage, the net to publisher, and how does it graduate as sales progress? We all want books to sell. We if we're going to go through all this, we want them to sell. We don't want them just to sit in a stack somewhere. And find out too, do they print books offset printing, that's actual books, or just print on demand? You want some for stores, and we want them for the distribution of the warehouse and other places. And then ask if there's a sales team. That's really important to know, that calls on bookstores. You go through all this work and you get a book, and how is it going to be distributed? This is huge. You don't want it just to have a stillbirth. You want it to get out there and accomplish what you wanted it to accomplish. So does the production and does the contract include the editing and a marketing strategy? Are there people that will help you? We're using Front Gate Media for our authors, which everyone needs help. I really think we do. And, just to get your book out there. Then let me address, we're running short on time, but there's also self-publishing, which people need to be aware of. And there are just a lot of scams out there. Be careful. Authors are very vulnerable, and we can really get taken advantage of if we're not careful. And so be very careful to read through what the contract is. And some of them have what they call bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, and they kind of upsell you on a lot of things. And most of those kind of publishers do print on demand and just print the books as someone calls. But watch what they price the book. If they price it like $24.95 and it really should be $14.99, and then they say you can buy it at a discount, you're getting not getting a good deal. That's not good. You're paying near retail. So be careful. What are they pricing those books? That will tell you a lot. So if you're serious about self-publishing, your best option is a company like Create Space, just on Amazon. And you will need to hire your own editor, but just be aware that bookstores aren't going to take Create Space. So it would be available on Amazon, basically. That's their exclusive. But we have a service we called honestediting.com, and we will provide that to authors who want to get a good manuscript. So if you go to honestediting.com, we will do a full edit up to 75,000 words for $19.95. That's $1,995. That's almost $2,000, but it will be good. It will be done right.
Okay.
But, it depends on the manuscript, too. You have to look and see what you've got.
And now, this is another of your businesses?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
What kind of turnaround?
There are just so many ways you can go with this. Just back to the basic, read it and get an attorney if you don't understand it. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
And isn't it a red flag if somebody is bothered by you asking questions?
Oh, yes. And be careful. There are a lot of people that solicit too. So, yeah, they shouldn't be afraid of any questions you ask. If they are, then I would run.
Mm-hmm. And once again, I used to work for an attorney. Once again, viewers, if they say, well, that doesn't mean this, it means that.
Right.
What that contract says is the only thing that matters.
It's true. It's really true. It's the real world. I mean, we need them. And so don't be afraid of it. Just read it, ask questions, and then if you don't feel right, don't proceed. There are other ways you can go. Mm-hmm. So
they can also be amended. Contracts can also be amended.
So you don't much have to
throw out the baby with the bathwater.
All the time. We amend contracts all the time. We negotiate all the time. And in fact, I think you have more respect for an author that does that, because you realize they're really taking ownership of their book and they want the best. So I think it's a good thing.
Yes. We don't have to be afraid of these things, but we need to be aware of them so we can spot red flags.
Absolutely. Excellent. Yes.
Because we will spot them sooner or later. The question is before we lose a lot of money or after.
And you don't want to feel bad about it, so I think that's important.
You have given us a wealth of information. The book is wonderful, just absolutely wonderful. And
Thank you, Patricia.
This is for anyone, literally anyone. Don't feel that if you didn't have a wonderful home that you can't make one, because that's the lie from the enemy straight from the pit. Absolutely. If you had one and you want to duplicate it, more power to you, and what a blessing you have. If you're young, if you're old, if you're married, if you're single, this will help you because you have a home.
That's right. No matter who you are. Yes.
You want to live in it. You want to thrive in it. You want to be safe in it and welcome other people into it so they can sense God's presence, and then their life is improved as well. Right, Nancie?
Absolutely. So true.
That's how you've done it all these years.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Patricia.
You are very, very welcome. Thank you, viewers, for being with us. It's always a pleasure when you're here, and I know you can't always be here, but it's wonderful when you are. Thanks for the comments. And this has been Marketers on a Mission, episode number 200. 4 areas to double check in your future publishing contracts with author Nancie Carmichael. This is the end of another week. We made it again. We made it to Friday again. Next week, we're going to have a modified schedule, and that's the way that it should be. I pray you have a wonderful memory-making Christmas with your family.
Amen.
We're here every weekday at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern. This program is designed exclusively for you to help you learn the craft of professional writing, speaking, and online marketing from those who are already doing it, because your mission field is online. A huge percentage of our mission field from now on is going to be online versus in real life. We've got to be cognizant of that and respond to that and not be scared of that. Online marketing helps us connect with our audience, so we get an opportunity to say, this is who I am. This is where you can find me. This is how I can help you. These are the results you can expect when you work with me or read my book or buy my product. And the whole purpose is so their lives can be changed and their eternity can be changed. It's a beautiful, beautiful process. Thanks again, viewers. Thank you again, Miss Carmichael.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. It was a real pleasure. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you next Monday, everybody.
Bye.